Welcome to the Atomic Impact Podcast. I am your host, Jason Osborn. And on this podcast, we interview successful business owners for them to share atomic impactful lessons that they've learned throughout their business career and share them with us as well. As always, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods everybody hates. We use this method, book 26 qualified leads and sales calls in 10 days without any ad spend, outreach, or endless social media posting. If you want to start generating leads on LinkedIn, you have to stop marketing on LinkedIn. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborn, and the link to that will be in the show notes below. On today's show, our special guest is Kevin Wayne Johnson. He's the owner of the Johnson Leadership Group, providing leadership development training and executive coaching. So, Kevin, thank you so much for being on the show and welcome. And I want to jump in with my first question, which is this. If you were able to have a time machine and go back to when you started your very first business, what's the number one piece of advice that you would give yourself?
Ask questions and get a mentor right off the bat, because you don't know what you don't know going into a very new adventure and a new venture. And there's some potholes and there are some obstacles and there are some walls. And having a good mentor to be able to ask questions and get some good guidance and advice on how to navigate the road is always a good choice. So that's the first thing that comes to mind when you ask that question.
Yeah, and I would definitely agree, definitely 100%. And true, not only when you're starting a business, but when you're in a business, no matter what stage as well. Like, would you agree with that? And if so, like, what are your thoughts around even once you're established, you think, okay, I've got it, you know?
Yeah. Now, that's a great question as well. Follow up. So, the beautiful thing about what we do for a living, in my case, I own a business now following my 34-year career with the federal government, is the networking piece. So, belonging to chambers of commerce, having the company certified by reputable organizations, and being able to rub elbows with other like-minded entrepreneurs who are really serious about what they're doing, trying to make an impact, reach people, generate income for the family, etc., has been extremely instrumental. And within those organizations are the mentors. They're the coaches, the counselors, the people that are really, really interested in helping you, because when it's all said and done, they want some help and look for some help as well. So I am very much into both in-person and virtual networking with other like-minded entrepreneurs who are really serious about what they do. And that has been a tremendous asset and a tremendous help. Please join your local chamber. Find out about other organizations that also sponsor and support and advocate for entrepreneurs. Join those organizations. You don't have to join them all. Be very selective because it can be pretty expensive. But once you get in and you get to meet people and they get to meet you and you know them and they know you, now you are well on your way to being able to continue to maintain and sustain the business that we all dream and that we all have goals for. So that is definitely something that works and that I would recommend.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's getting around that, which I was going to ask the question, how do you find those mentors? Because I know that this is a big question that people come up with, and I know that you have just answered that in some sense, definitely doing that. But if people are networking, they might find um, people that might be good clients or referral partners, but maybe not necessarily mentors. Is there another way to find those types of mentors that they've been to where you are, they're in the next level of a business? Any suggestions around that or ideas? Because I know that can be something that really stops people.
Yeah, we all admire different people in our circles of life. You see someone from afar, and there's something about the way they carry themselves, their character, their grooming, how they dress, how they speak, that draws our attention. And it doesn't hurt to, at some point, walk up to that person and just have a conversation, a very brief, to the point, concise, and clear introduction, 30 seconds or less. And then, to the extent that you're comfortable, asking, can you follow up after the introduction? You exchange information. And at some point, you ask the question, would you be so kind to give me some tips on how to be better at what I'm doing? In other words, you're asking them to mentor you, to coach you, to give you some counsel and give you some advice. I wouldn't necessarily walk up to someone that I don't really know and they don't know me, asking them, will you mentor me? That's a little bit too strong. Instead, a 30-second or less introduction, handshake, eye to eye contact. Hopefully, you can exchange information, follow up, and then through the subsequent conversations at some point, ask them to mentor you. It's a much softer approach. Now, I know some of us are introverts and we're not comfortable walking up to people that we don't know. So there are other ways of doing it. Email, text, phone call, leave a voicemail. If you happen to be introverted, that's okay. It's not a foul, it's not a negative thing, but you just use a different style of reaching out to that person. So again, we all know people that we admire. We admire them from afar. We're looking at them, we're like, wow, I wonder how they do that. And it's out of the curiosity and being inquisitive that we then take the next step and find out, how can I get in contact with this person to at some point ask them to give me some tips and some tools so that I can reach that level as well.
Love that. It's
Yeah.
great advice, Kevin. And I'm very introverted myself, and I would just encourage all the other introverts, do your best to take that step forward to actually do that personal contact. It makes a big difference. Obviously, starting off with what you just said, Kevin, find other modalities to reach out is cool, but I've just found that that personal touch goes a really long way. And I've also found, be curious about what you think on this. I've also found being an introvert, the way you approach someone often sparks even more interest because you're not that extroverted, loud person, and they can see that there's actually something different about that. And people
Mm-hmm.
are actually much more open to communicate as well. So, extroverts have a strength, introverts have a strength. It's just different strengths. So,
That's it. That's it. And everybody else in between on the spectrum, use your own style in terms of how you approach people, how you talk to people, how you introduce yourself to people. Because there's no one particular approach. There's no cookie cutter approach to this.
yeah.
Just do it to the extent that you're comfortable.
Yeah, amazing. Well, Kevin, one of the other questions I love asking is, what's one of the biggest challenges that you've faced in your business, and what's the lesson you learned from that?
Well, the biggest challenge, quite frankly, that comes to mind when I hear that question is asked quite a bit. We have to approach what we're doing with the reality that we don't know what we don't know. And everything ultimately costs more than we think it will. And so you have to be very careful, very diligent, very deliberate, and very intentional with your business plan, your strategic plan, and your marketing plan, and really kind of stick to it in order for things to happen in the manner in which you wish it would happen. Let me give you a quick example. My company focuses primarily on leadership development and executive coaching for 4 different types of leaders: aspiring leaders who haven't quite landed in a leadership position yet, but they want to; frontline leaders who have been in their role for about 5 years or less; mid-level leaders between maybe 5 to 15 years; and then senior level leaders that have 15 plus years of experience with leading people, leading teams, and leading organizations. That's our bread and butter. And I'm very crystal clear about that because it's important that we do 1, 2, or 3 things very well. But at the same time, we can also be very proficient at a number of soft skills as well. We have that level of expertise. But I tell my team and I tell my clients and I tell my customers that we focus primarily on leadership development and executive coaching. And by doing that, we can always be crystal clear around our mission and our vision, as well as our strategic priorities. They're all listed on our website at thejohnsonleadershipgroup.com. And that's what keeps us focused. And what I've seen is that there's too many of us that are out here in the marketplace that start to expand and get into other areas too quickly. And soon and very soon, the waters become muddy. What are you focusing on? What are you doing? What is your core business? And ultimately, over time, it has a negative impact. So, in responding to your question, I always encourage myself, my team, my company, all of my clients and our stakeholders that this is what we do. This is who we are. If you're looking for best in class services, we're here to support you. Yes, we can do the other soft skills, but that's not really our area of expertise. And by staying laser focused, it's kind of helped us to be able to continue to move forward. We're in year 7 of our business, and we're always pivoting. We're always having to be flexible and adaptable based upon what's going on. Here in America right now, it's pretty chaotic for a lot of different reasons. And so you have to pay attention to what's going on economically, politically, socially, even theologically in the faith-based community, and to make the necessary adjustments as we go forward. Now, eventually it'll settle down and we'll be back on cruise control, but it's no different than the pivots we had to make during the pandemic. We had to make the shift from being in person with our clients for about 3.5 years to going all virtual with our clients. And so you have to rewrite the curriculum, you have to have a different approach, you have to rewrite the participant handbooks, the PowerPoint presentations, etc. So sort of a long-winded answer there, Jason, but that's sort of what I'm thinking when it comes to just being laser focused and staying true to your mission, vision, and strategic priorities.
Yeah, no, it was great, Kevin. There's a lot of really good things you said in that as well. And, I know we hear it all the time, but just staying really laser focused on that direction. But the almost paradox of being able to pivot when needed. And
Mm-hmm.
so not allowing that laser focus to be so rigid that you don't pivot, which could then end up really, it could kill the business.
Yeah, and
So
and and you hit it right on the head. Not if needed, but when needed. We all
yeah,
have to make pivots and adjustments and have to be adaptable during the life cycle of running a business. So it's not an if, it's a when. And right now in our nation, the time is right now where we have to pivot because it's very chaotic. We'll overcome it over time, but in the meantime, you can't. It's not business as usual, and so you
mm,
have you have to recognize it for what it is. Tap into your network. This is where the mentoring piece comes in that we talked about earlier, and lean on the shoulders of other like-minded entrepreneurs and do more partnering, more joint ventures, and more collaboration to kind of get over where we are. And then
mm.
once we're over that, then we can go back to our regular standard practices.
Yeah, yeah. And you're absolutely right. It's not if, it's when you have to pivot and make those
Yeah.
changes. So it's very, very true. Very true.
Uh,
Well,
yep.
over the next couple years, 2 to 3 years, Kevin, where do you want to be with your business? What are your goals?
Well, our goals are to expand into more international markets. I'm very, very excited that we have different representatives here in the US that represent our companies abroad, depending on the strategic region that we may want to go to. I've already done some work in some strategic regions. I'm looking to reach other regions. So we've had some good meetings with some key decision makers at different embassies around the world back in May of this year. And 2 in particular have followed up. They kept their word. So we'll be meeting with them over a full week, starting in the new year 2026. I'm excited about that. Reaching more people, making more of an impact, driving more revenue, and taking the company international. So that's always been on the plate, but I was waiting for the right time. So we spent most of 2024 preparing for it so that when 2025 came, we could put the necessary tools in place. We've done that. And so as we transition now into 2026, starting in January, we're looking forward to kicking some things off. So that's one of the next phases, but at the same time, not forgetting the current customers that we're supporting and continuing to give them best in class services as well.
Amazing. Love that. Such great goals there, Kevin. Well, for people that want to learn a little bit more about you, I know you mentioned your website earlier, but what's the best place for them to get in contact with you?
Yeah, definitely through the website. So the company is the Johnson Leadership Group, and the website is www.thejohnsonleadershipgroup.com. You'll find everything about the company. You'll find the team, our mission, vision, strategic priorities, our calendar, the type of work that we do, the various credentials that we've received from the marketplace. And I'm also an author as well, Jason, writing on the topic of leadership. So all of our information about the books are there as well. If people want to just read about them, take a look at the endorsements, the awards, and you can even make a purchase there as well. And that's really the best way to get in contact with us as well. Through the contact page, Kevin at thejohnsonleadershipgroup.com. That email will come directly to me, and we always do our best to respond within 48 hours.
Oh, amazing, man. Love that. Absolutely amazing. So definitely, you guys check out Kevin and his website. And if you need anything, I know he'll be more than happy to have a chat with you or his team on that. So thank you so much, Kevin, for being on the show. It's been a great privilege to have you.
Thank
And
you.
as a reminder for everyone, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everybody hates. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborn, and the link to that will be in the show notes. Until next time, stay inspired.